All right. So you didn't miss anything yet, Twan. And Russell Coombs told me your name wasn't pronounced Twan. Was he trolling me? I mean, because that is so unlike Russell to troll me. So I don't know. But yes, let's get Kealan Patrick Burke in here to answer for his art crimes of making us all enjoy art. That is not a crime. Let's see if I can do this again. Can I do this again? All right. He is not Paddy McGinty, which I thought was hilarious. I'm Irish, so I can make Irish jokes. Sorry. I'm entitled. 23andMe gave me permission to make fun of the Irish. Where are we at? Hold up. All right, I got to go a little bit of ways to invite Paddy McGinty. All right. Or, Kealan Patrick Burke. Are you guys as bumped as I am? I'm a little nervous. Just a little. Hold on one second. All right, Kealan, I'm sending you the link to the room. Please enter of your own free will. He told me I had to say that. I had to say that for some reason. So I sent him the link. If he's going to pop in here, then I'm going to get all tongue-tied because he is a famous author. And I'm just some scrub with a YouTube channel. Hope you're there, Kealan. Probably didn't do it right. Check your messages, Kealan. Check, because we're not friends on Facebook, which is probably an oversight. So you have to go into your messages, maneuver around, find it, and then slap it down. I do vampire much. I mean, I vampire a little. Oh, here he is. All right, everybody, shut up. Oh, wait, this isn't a surprise party. He knows he's coming. All right. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. I'll tell you what I tell my kids is going clockwise. I mean, I vampire a little. Here he is. All right, everybody, shut up. Oh, wait, this isn't knows he's coming.
Hang on, I have you on.
Right.
I'm hearing you twice.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, that's twice the recommended dose. I'll tell you what I tell my kids is going clockwise. I mean, I vampire a little. Okay. You're hearing me 3 times now.
All right, now I got you. I just had to close the other thing.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay. Well,
hey,
wow.
So how's it going?
It's going great. I don't know if you've been watching the chatter. Some people figured you out earlier, and they were absolutely convinced. And I was a little surprised with the conviction because nobody's ever sure, but they always toss around the guesses. But they sniffed you out. So
well, I had people emailing me all over the place saying, "Listen, I won't go public with this, but it's you, right?" And I'm like, "What's a suntop?"
Were they threatening blackmail of sorts at all?
A little bit, yeah. And unfortunately, I'm the most blackmailable person on the planet. So they just basically had a menu and went, "We could do."
So like an a la carte. You pick like another $50. They won't put this news out ahead of time, but then the other things.
Yeah, it's divided into zones, like colored zones of how bad the blackmail is going to be. So, yeah, the whole llama thing is in the orange part, but no, it was good. I didn't tell anybody, but I was looking at the chat yesterday, and it was really hard when people were guessing me. First off, I want to say, what's wrong with you? This is Suntop. Why would they be publishing me?
Oh my gosh.
For one thing, I'm still alive, and I remember reading that in the contract that Jason sent over and Paul had co-signed. It's like totally optional. But in order to increase the value of the book, once we announce it, if you could die, that would be fantastic.
Well,
just to suggest it.
but after the signatures are in, I mean, you still had to probably do that, and then it's a posthumous release.
Well, that was the thing. Once I sent back the signature sheets, I was living in mortal dread because I thought if I don't go along with this and die at the right time, they may send somebody out to kill me.
They might. They've, I don't know how far the network goes, but I do know Paul employs a ninja. So
I had heard that.
Yeah, I always worry about saying the wrong thing on these live feeds and then getting a dart in the neck. So if the feed cuts out, then we've said too much, apparently. So how did they approach you about doing this? How did that, where'd they find you?
Well, I'd known Jason for quite some time. Like we'd known each other on social media, Jason Seacrest. And I mean, that's how his name's pronounced, right? Like Ryan. That's
what I do, and I ask forgiveness and not permission. So I just steamroll through people's names.
Well, I hate that because I hate doing that because next thing I'll meet him in person, he'll be like, "It's actually Jason Seacrest," and I'm like,
"Yes,
okay.
Yes, it's French, Seacrest."
Yeah, but he reached out to me and he said, "So listen, we're interested in maybe doing a book with you, and this is what we had in mind: a collection of novellas, 3 uncollected novellas, 3 that previously published, and 1 new one with you illustrating it." And I will admit, and and this is why when I saw in some of the comments, people were like, "Who?" Because I thought it was initially my first thought because I was familiar with Suntop. See, and the catalog there's Richard Matheson, there's H.G. Wells, there's Shirley Jackson, Stephen King, Joe Hill, and Kealan Patrick Burke. And I'm like, what?
No. So to me, selections, yes. Anya Alborn was also sort of unexpected. She never had anything published in hardcover before. In fact, a lot more of a new name than you are. When Paul published her, and I took it then, just like the selection of your work, as this is the stuff that he believes in, that he likes, that he thinks is worthy, and it's not dictated by a New York Times bestseller list or the best known author necessarily. Yeah, he launched with a bang with a Stephen King score. I mean, that's the same sort of score that that established Jared over at Centipede Press. And he's a King is a kingmaker essentially. So yeah. But that's what I love about who Paul goes for. And I knew about you. I've had your books. I've seen you around the forums and social media. So I was jazzed. I was totally jazzed. I'm like, this is awesome. I did do a little bit of the bracing. Like, I don't know how the fans are gonna greet this. Like, are they going to have the faith that I do? That, like, if I didn't know who you were, all the vetting I need is for Paul to choose an author. So so from my perspective, totally worthy, totally just jazzed to see your name pulled out of that hat. And of course,
I appreciate that. And I was equally anxious, and it's something I didn't count on. It was like when I was contracted to do it, I thought, well, the new novella has to be indicative of where I am in writing now. It's got to be the best thing I've written to date. So I did, and I absolutely, I don't always enjoy what I write. Some of it just guts you, and that's kind of the point. But this was a lot of fun. This was a riot to write.
Guest?
And it was an awful lot of fun. And plus I wrote it during the pandemic, so it was an escape as well,
Wow.
But but it was great. But I thought this has to be the best possible. I can't have a book with an outfit with the reputation and the panache of Suntop, and be the one book that didn't work in that catalog. Like, all these classics and that the great unnamed book which you'll never mention again. But what I didn't factor, that was where the anxiety was for me, but what I didn't consider until probably just a few weeks ago was appeasing the collectors as well. Now, obviously, a lot of that's out of my hands when it comes to design and stuff, but man, if there's going to be a weak link in this, it's going to be the fact that I'm not the author everybody wanted this book to be written by. They wanted Joe Hill or, you know, Neil Gaiman. And but, you know, if it makes anyone feel better, I can announce now I'm actually Joe Hill's son.
Oh, so Stephen King's your grandfather.
Yeah. So watch that value go up. Yeah.
It'll skyrocket now.
Yeah, I haven't been allowed to say anything, mostly because Stephen King is deathly ashamed of me, and Joe Hill just pretends I don't exist. So if you ask them, they'll deny it. But it's true. Well, and I'm kind of like the black sheep. I don't get any financial assistance or anything, except for them to pay me to shut up and go away. But you know, people do that all the time.
That pain fuels your work, then. So
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was worried. I was worried when this was going to be announced, especially after the past couple of days. I thought, this is going to be announced, and was going to be like, no, but really.
So you're stepping into a crazy. So Suntup has collectors who just love beautiful books. They have flippers and investors and speculators who, right now, the demand is so high that they're like scalping concert tickets back in the day. But since nobody can go to a concert, they're scalping these high edition books. And then you have readers like me who love the written word, and you know, so there's a Venn diagram. I'm in the middle, except I don't really want to sell. I haven't seen a Suntup book I wanted to sell, but so there's a lot of people, and yes, it's almost impossible to please them all, and you shouldn't want to. But I will say your artist edition, I'm seeing the numbers come in on the side here, is selling fantastically. People say it sell like hotcakes, but I don't buy that many hotcakes, so I don't know why that's the measure of a fast sale. So, but they're selling out. I mean, it's like almost 800 gone. Like,
whoa,
yeah,
wow.
It's a half hour.
That's insane. Well, thank you to everybody here, and I'm seeing the comments come in, and there's a couple I'd like to address later if we can. But wow, thank you. That's fantastic. I literally came on here and I thought, this will be announced, and it'll be like a wet fart in a spacesuit. It'll just be right. So it's, what time is it? It's 4 o'clock, 3 days since the announcement, and we've sold 1.5 copies. Way to go, Kealan.
Yeah, and that person only wanted 2 of the novellas, so they just decided to cut the book in half. That's why you got the half.
I've read those 2, but I'll take the other 2. What can I get for just the last 2 novellas? Thanks.
So I mean, this is I mean, I don't want to get ahead of it, but this pace is the fastest of any artist edition ever. So it is it's a bonus to have the author's signature actually in the artist edition. The last time that happened was Joe Hill, your dad, and so that's,
my dad.
This is also for a lot of people an original work, right? So this, you know, actually I knew this day was coming, which is why I held off on buying Jack and Jill, Blanky, and Sour Candy. I just said, you know, I'm going to hold off on that until it's a Suntup book. Kealan's number's coming. So and then he'll throw a new novella in there. So I'm getting all 4 really jazzed about that. So that's really cool.
Well, what's great about it, I think, is, and I have to assume that this was Jason's doing, but there's probably 20 novellas of mine out there that, you know, that have done well for me. But he specifically asked for 3. I think it was Sour Candy, Blanky, and The Tent. Now, The Tent had been collected previously, so we swapped that out for Jack and Jill. And with guests, the title novella, they all are unified by the idea of intrusion into a normal life. There's an outside element that comes in and completely alters the reality.
That's so cool.
So kind of accidentally, it just, because the novella was always going to be called that, but it unified them all. And I think it's when you said you were waiting to read them, I think it's actually the perfect way to read those stories.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's not funny, but it's interesting because an outside influence coming in, guests. It's then that idea applies to all the stories, not just the title story. So that's really, really, really cool. I'm looking at this. There was a question that went by that I thought was really great, and it was from a great guy, so I'm going to ask it. Peter Hunt asked, does your art influence your writing? Does that ever happen? Or do you write and then pull the image out, or do you ever create a piece and say, there's a story here I want to tell?
Both. I'd say most often the story is written first, and then that will influence the art. But there has been occasions where I've just been composing a piece of art just for myself, or, you know, just because something struck me to do it. And I look at it and I'll think, well, somebody at some point is probably going to want art for something, so I'll just keep that in a folder. But the more I look at it and the more I think about it, the more it starts to spin a story out. And I go, whatever, I'll write it. And then, but it does definitely, yeah. I think it works both, but most often the story comes first.
That's awesome. Speaking of your stories, I have to ask this. Is there going to be a sequel to Kin? I think I saw you toy with that idea, but you didn't want to visit it again because of the content, or, you know, the trauma it probably inflicted on you. But
ooh, yeah, Kin is a rough one. I mean, it's still to date the most popular book and the bestseller for me. And I mean by that it sells the best, not bestseller, one word. Like
Sure.
Yeah, 8 copies last month. We're on a roll. But yeah, there has for a long time been a sequel in mind for that. And it's kind of a where is everybody 10 years later? And I can't really get into plot details without spoiling the original book, but
Sure.
there was some unfinished business in the first one, and the entire plot of the second would revolve around that. And there's probably a quarter of it written. Every now and again, I'll be looking through files and folders, and I'll see it there, and I'll go, "Oh yeah, you." And I'll write a chapter and then leave it. But I can't put it's not a imperative for me right now. But it's also very different in tone. Whereas the first one was kind of my ode to all those grimy 70s slashers. This one, I think, would be more of a really bleak crime noir.
Wow, that's cool. Because that is different. It is, you know, I think when I was struck by Kin was the idea of trauma, desperation, loneliness, addiction. Like there are so many people, and they're all haunted. They're all messed up by some influence, except for my papa, right? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name only because you're sitting here talking to me. The dad, the patriarch.
Papa in Gray.
Papa in Gray, yes. I was gonna say Papa Gray, but yeah. Wow.
That works cool.
He was quite the character. I mean, just chilling. And the way he rationalized his lifestyle and his decisions is wow. I mean, I could see a lot of people find very morally, you know, they find that moral high ground covered in blood, basically, and it's interesting how they justify their lives. But yeah, so I had to get that kind of out of the way.
There's actually, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before, but there's also, and I don't think it'd be a novel, but there is a prequel too about Papa and Gray and Mama in Bed, how they met, and it revolves around a sinister preacher at a tent revivalist thing in Alabama, and how the preacher had basically Mama in Bed as a kid as his, I don't know, 100 different ugly words for it, but captive more than anything. But he'd seduced her with religion. Excuse me. And Papa and Gray comes into the picture as a wanderer, and they start concocting a plan to put an end to the preacher. But that one excites me more, I think, because it comes back to me all the time. Like, are you ever going to write that? I mean, shut up, leave me alone. But yeah, I think that will come out at some point.
So that's a very, whether or not you do it, it could be a very hefty prequel or a prelude to Kin 2 when Sumtup does that.
Man, that'd be something.
Just gonna
I'm still reeling from the fact that they even did this one. Honest to God, I'm kind of
really. Yeah, I mean, I had that as a question, like, what do you think about, you know, getting the Sumtup treatment? But when I wrote that question down and I started thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, that's insulting, because you shouldn't think that way. I don't think that way. Why did that question even bubble up? You know, like, no, this stuff is great stuff. In fact, I wasn't even really aware. I knew you did cover art, Elder Lemon Design.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also of the mind that you were a graphic designer who designed covers and not an artist until this. And then, wow, that was like, I mean, that blew me away. That was the surprise I took away from this release. But it was your written word that I'm like, when Paul announced, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. Yeah, there's some authors, I'm not going to name names because it's such a personal passion. It's not really a profession. It just comes out of you. There's some authors that I would like just kind of step away or step kindly away from the order page. But for this announcement, yeah, I just rushed to it. And people are demanding that you write this. I had no idea you were born in Ireland. Huh.
Well, there's a question there from John Nicholson. I saw that, and I'm sorry I'm not answering all these. They're flying.
Oh, please do, yeah.
Was the theme of unwelcome visitors influences from the outside inspired or influenced by the pandemic, which is clearly an unwelcome guest? I mean, first off, that's a fantastic question. But yeah, definitely. I mean, we can get into it more here in a minute, but Guests is about this disgruntled employees last night working at a seafront hotel during a blizzard that traps them all inside. So yeah, very much so. It was perfect. It was the perfect story to write during those conditions, because I needed to write or I was going to go insane. I couldn't just be rattling around the house, couldn't go out and meet people, couldn't do it the same as everybody else, but I needed it. I was starting to crack up. Yeah. So what better story to write than while you're trapped inside than about a bunch of people trapped inside with this evil force? And I thought, the only thing I could imagine that was worse than the pandemic attacking us from the outside was for it to be in here with us. And of course, at no time did any of us know for sure whether or not it wasn't in here with us. And there was also a very invasion of the body snatchers thing going on in real life, where suddenly you don't trust your neighbors anymore,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that became our McCarthyism, our communist Red Scare thing, as that asshole used to have. But it was, yeah, we suddenly didn't want to be around. Don't touch me. I remember I went outside. My neighbor got a new puppy right at the height of the pandemic. My neighbor got a new puppy, and I went over safe distance, looking at him, and she picked it up and shoved it into my face, and I backed up so fast I hit the car and set the alarm off. And I felt like such an absolute idiot. I was like, what is this for? I don't even recognize it. What are we doing? Why did I react that way?
Yeah.
But of course we were encouraged to. So I hid in the fiction and I wrote about people who can't get out, and suddenly not being able to get out is even worse than the threat of something being out there, because it's already in here with you.
Wow.
And it was perfect, and it helped. It was basically therapy for me.
Wow.
It's also extraordinarily messed up.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm even more excited for it now. It's going to be something then, if with that lens that we review it, is something that we all shared. I mean, you're right. These masks are coming off now. Yeah. And if we thought it was bad before, it's going to be even worse now. For a little while, at least during the transition period, of people going, are you vaccinated? Are you a threat? Are you going to be, should you be wearing a mask? I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty. So, and we just heard from Chris at the start of this, his wife tested positive. So, and my brother was in the hospital. So yeah, it's not over yet, but as a central emotion in the story, I think we can all relate to it. And I do wonder about that. So you said it was therapeutic. It doesn't aggravate things. It doesn't make you like.
No. Because when you're writing about it, you're putting all that emotion into, all your frustration, all your confusion, your fear. You're putting that in the book, and it's almost like a lockbox, Wow. It's there now. So you get, for however long, a bit of a vacation from all that stuff, that turmoil that's tearing you to pieces. And you can just go, all right, well, that's there. And plus, you know, horror as a reflection of real life in books, the best thing, or movies, is that with a book, it scares you, terrifies you, makes you feel all these things, but then you close it. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
You won the battle against the monster. Whereas in real life, it's still out there, you know. But yeah, but it was a great release, and it was weird because of that, the pandemic turned out to be one of the most productive times for me, creatively speaking, I'd say, in a decade.
You had nothing else to do but focus on that.
I had a novel. It's taken me 6 years to write. I finally finished it during the pandemic, wrote a graphic novel during the pandemic, and wrote guests.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm lucky if I write a book every 6 years, but this was crazy.
Well, but to your other point about the therapy, I remember someone once asked your grandfather if what kind of nightmares he has. They said, you know, you must have some really crazy nightmares. He says, you know what? If I didn't write, I would have crazy nightmares. You know, like I don't have them. I don't have that torture because I get it out. I never understood that. And to hear you describe it, that's super, it's super interesting. I mean, obviously we all need some sort of expression to get it out. Obviously not all of us can be a Suntup book, but we can also just get it out. Just make it.
I'd be worth more if I was a Suntup book. At least then I'd have some value, you know.
Well, I don't know how the sales are doing. If somebody wants to throw that number up there.
I'm worried now that at this point, when people are listening to me talk, they'll start returning them, you know. Not even out yet. They go, you know what? I just remembered I got something else to buy. Like,
oh yeah, my cat needs hairball surgery, so I have to save those funds. No, it's I mean, I don't know. I think anybody who hears this should at least have their curiosity piqued. Someone said they're going to try hard not to read the book. Amber says this before that comes, because
I would recommend that. I mean, it's still, whether you've read them or not, I think it's going to be the most beautiful presentation of those books that we're likely to see in my lifetime. But honestly, buying that book and reading them for the first time all the way through is how I would recommend reading them. I think this is just the quintessential presentation of that. It's how I would love to present it to people. So, I mean, yeah, that's definitely my recommendation anyway.
Yeah, I only did it once with the Suntup book. I bought Brother as a trade paperback before I got the Suntup book. And then I missed out on Samuel Raya's art. To get that author and artist collaboration, to see what emotion, what scene was illustrated, it does miss out. And I haven't done it since, because what is the point, you know? I think that tactile experience, feeling those pages, and then the bonus of the author being the artist, to get that visual plucked right from your brain to complement the words. Yeah, it's definitely something worth waiting for.
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting too is that the art that I did for it, and it was great. You were asking about, you know, what it was like to work with the Suntup crew. It was fantastic. I mean, the thing, I've worked with tons of specialty edition, limited edition publishers, and honestly, what resonated most for me about this, and my takeaway from it, was efficiency. Because, and you probably know, Paul doesn't mince words. He doesn't say more than he has to. I would send some art, he'd write back with, "This'll work. That's beautiful. Could you adjust this?" But because of that, that's something you can work with. You know, when it's too micromanaged, it suffocates creativity. So whatever I come out with is probably going to be a lot less than I wanted it to be, a lot less effective. So it was fantastic. And all the way from Jason, you know, to Beth, to everybody, it was fantastic. But the art that I did, some of the pieces I did for this book, I wish I could go back and make them the original covers for the novellas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they ended up being better, I think, than what I originally created for them. And yeah, I love them.
Is it it's all included in this volume, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody will get those. Maybe subsequent printings. I don't know what the licensing agreement is, but I think I hear you about that. Am I getting notes? I'm getting notes.
Tell him to shut up.
So I got a question. I got a question from Dwayne Wheeler. Will you do remarks?
Man, I haven't even thought about that.
We ask all the artists. We pester all the artists. We harangue them, harass them, persecute all the artists until we get the remarks we want. You don't have a choice. I mean, I gave it as a question. But
I'm just realizing that now. Yeah,
it's more of an exclamation point than a question mark.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something we're talking about. We haven't talked about it yet, so I don't know what the situation is there. But yeah, we'll definitely consider it. I mean,
yeah,
I've never done those before. That's the thing. So that's the only thing that's giving me pause is like, sure, I'm up for it, but how?
Yeah, and that's fair. I kid about putting you on the spot, of course. We do ask, and some do, some don't. They are very popular on this page for people. They love getting them. And Jody Fallon, the last artist for the artist for Imagica, said very much the same thing. As an artist, he had creative freedom, and he reflected your points about how Paul treated the art. Boy. And anyway, we put it to him to do remarks. He hasn't gotten back to me, so that's been a while. So we're gonna send some Teamsters over there. I was a former Teamster, so I got a couple of guys I can send to ask again. Just ask with a different sort of emphasis.
Send a couple of knucklenecks around, see what happens.
Yeah, just to shake some things loose. I didn't know I had an assistant today. Okay, so we have a question from Neil Norman, but I think I know the answer to this. He asks, which novella is the cover illustration from? So the cover for the whole book, that illustration ties to Guests, the novella?
It's actually meant to be, in tone at least, indicative of all of them.
Okay.
But I think it hews closer in content to Blanky.
Oh.
It has a central figure from that. The house is from that as well. But you could actually say that it's from all of them.
Interesting.
Because there's enough in the content of all the novellas to make it something you have to guess at when you read it. But I would say Blanky anyway.
Wow. Well, I'm glad Neil asked that. I assumed I knew the answer because I'm arrogant. But he asked the question, and that's good. Thank you, Neil, for straightening me out. So what is it like having a Wikipedia page? Do you ever go to it? Do you ever, do you alter it all the time, or?
No, I don't. I don't know how that happened. It was just there one day.
They grow.
Yeah, they grow. But I mean, I wish I could change it because there's so many mistakes in it, and there's so many things that need to change. I mean, it tends to focus on stuff I did 10 years ago, no mention of anything that's happened since. So
it needs update.
But it is also a Wikipedia page, so ultimately, who gives a shit?
Well, on my Wikipedia page,
that's like saying, so I noticed you have an Uno card. Like, mm-hmm.
Well, my Wikipedia page says the guy who interviewed Kealan Patrick Burke that one time. So it's very modern, but there's no past.
And live to regret it.
And
that's an edit you made.
DVD. So, I understand. I mean, we can all go over there and update it if you'd like, and just add some things. I could say you are the person piloting those spaceships that the Navy just released. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. So I'll just say it was you.
I think that's just people throwing hats in front of a camera, honestly.
I was thinking maybe somebody actually hacked their camera and added something just to freak everybody out, because that's exactly what I would do. Because if the aliens are here, do they collect Suntup books is what I'd want to know.
Well, and they're also supposedly intelligent life forms. So if they're intelligent, would they really want to have anything to do with us?
No. Unless they eat people. But even so,
now,
they have very few healthy people to choose from. So
that's right. Like, especially me, they'd be like, ugh, gristly.
Tainted food supply down there.
Last time I had an Irish steak.
So we've been chatting up for, a good portion of time, and we're coming up on the hour since I did a broadcast. I did promise you in our
Happy birthday, Nick.
Huh?
Sorry,
oh, who?
I just snuck that in there. Happy birthday to Nic Lovin.
Oh.
Nic Lovin. Is that like McLovin?
Nic Lovin. I didn't even think about that, but he must be a Superbad fan. McLovin. To serve mankind. Yes, Soylent Green.
Anyway, happy birthday, Nick. I hope it's a good one. And just to address Yancey's question, do any of the novellas tie into TV series in development? 3 of the 4 of them are in various stages of development, but I can't say anything more than that.
Yeah. They hired me as a lead actor in one of them.
That's probably why that one will never see the light of day.
Very low budget.
It was supposed to be a horror. You turned it into a comedy.
Yeah, well, they gave me donuts. So
you and Nic Lovin.
Nic Lovin. I always said it Nick Lovan. I think all the people in this that are commenting would be horrified if I had to call them out like a teacher in school and take attendance. You pronounced it right. Wow. Yeah, I would have said Nick Lovan, like a van that was dropped.
I have 3 talents: writing, illustration, and pronouncing that name right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Which is amazing because people don't pronounce mine right at all, ever.
Oh, really? No?
I've been called Koala.
Koala?
I'm dead serious. The guy I was working with 10 years ago in art, sorry, not 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago. Came in one day and he said, "Hey, Koala, can you fix this for me?" And I said, "Sorry, whoa, what did you just call me?"
You're not
he said, "That's your name, right? Koala and Koalan." And he just repeated the same thing 25 times in my face. Like he was forcing me to accept that that's what it was, that I would change my mind.
Well, obviously he had it right. We named our son Ian, and his name was pronounced Iran.
Oof.
Yeah, Iran. He was promoted to a whole country. His middle name is Tehran, so I thought that was interesting.
Wow, I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Yeah, a little bit.
What's his last name? Beirut?
His last name is I can't say because the FBI and certain people are looking into it. But
if those were my names, I'd be conflicted.
Koala. I mean, maybe he just saw like your aura or your guide animal or something and just said, "He's a koala. That's who he is to me." And maybe he likes to hug koalas or something. I don't know. Maybe he has a very favorable idea. But koala that's really fun.
It's weird. I mean, if somebody asks you, like, how do you identify? Terrorist.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. But I'm called Jerry. People just take my first name, slap it on my last name, and then they're done with it. And that's like more time than they're willing to give me. But I did promise.
How do you mess up Jeff, though?
Give people a chance. You give people a chance. I found that's the best way to find out how people can mess up is just give them a chance, and they will absolutely mess up.
But I have an excuse because my name just sounds like somebody. It sounds like somebody took alphabet soup and threw it at the wall and went, "Yeah, that'll work." But Jeff, yeah, one syllable. If you can't pronounce that, I'm not convinced this person can cough without difficulty.
Well, my full name is Jeffrey, and I wanted to, instead of shortening Jeff, instead of doing Jeff, I was going to do Free. So I was just going to call myself Free. I'm Free, but it'd be spelled Frey, and then I'd be called Frey, and so I just dropped that.
Waldo Frey, that's not going to work.
No. But in the prep we had, I promised that we would probably talk about the Coen brothers and Nic Cage. Because conversation devolved last time into Nic Cage, and it just seems inevitable that Nic Cage is going to come up. So, do you have thoughts on Nic Cage?
Probably none that are going to please anybody. I was a big Nic Cage fan for most of his career, but his shtick is actually starting to wear on me a bit now.
It gets old.
It does, and I mean, you know, as an actor, and you know, unless you are one, it's hard to say this with any degree of authority, but I thought actors always wanted to experiment and play different roles and get into different characters. His is just scream now. Bug-eyed with dyed hair and just shriek and scream and smash shit. And that's fine. I mean, I know there's an audience for it. But every time I see a new VOD title come up with his pasted on hair on it and his goober eyes, I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to give this one a miss.
It's a long way from Raising Arizona.
Yeah, and I love so many of his movies, but this thing, and good for him, whatever, you know. Taxes are a tough beast to be under, but
yeah. They force you to do some work.
And it's also kind of hard to have sympathy for his problems right now when you hear why he's in those straits, you know? I mean, I might struggle to pay a gas bill. This guy bought 75 porcelain tigers or some shit, you know?
Right.
You know, sometimes you do get what you deserve.
He's snorting mummy dust and stuff like that. And so, yeah, they can get expensive.
Yeah. I know.
I told Paul to line your pages with mummy dust.
Sweet.
Straight out of a sarcophagus.
He only did that.
Say that word.
He only did that because he started to have buyer's remorse, and he thought, well, at least it will guarantee some sales.
Yeah, you know, I laugh because I understand this Irish self-deprecating stuff because yeah, so I get it. But people are, you know, you can't bash yourself, man. You're just worth it. You're worth it. You're what was that? Wasn't there a tagline for some makeup product? I'm worth it. You're worth it. I don't know.
Because I'm worth it?
Yeah, because I'm worth it.
Don't ask me how I know that, but yeah.
L'Oreal. So I'll call you L'Oreal Patrick Burke.
Yeah, but my hair is so short, it doesn't even move in the wind. It just kind of sighs. It goes, ugh.
It doesn't move in the wind, but the wind moves around it. So
the wind kind of actually just chooses a different direction. It comes up to me and goes,
you're aerodynamic.
Bad neighborhood. I'm out of here. Whoops.
So because you're of Irish heritage, and I'm just going to beat this dead horse. Are you familiar with Patrick McCabe?
Yeah. Wait. Am I?
Did you read Butcher Boy?
Oh crap. No, wait. Now I'm getting confused with Brendan Behan. Is he like a contemporary author or?
Yeah, he's kind of a recluse, and he wrote Butcher Boy, which is like one of my absolute favorite books. Cormac McCarthy, Patrick McCabe. I got an Irish thing. You know, I figured you knew him because you're from Ireland, right? So you know everybody.
Oh, we all know each other, yeah.
It's a small island.
I have Sinead O'Connor on speed dial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had a blocker.
I just called her, hey, Sinead. She goes, all right. Never mind.
She says nothing compares to you. She cries. And then I'm like, that song was done. Prince wrote it. Get over it. And
yeah.
You know, so she got legal proceedings. I'm getting more. Nick Lovin's wife wants Kealan Patrick Burke to narrate their life. So you're going to do an audiobook for Nick Lovin.
Yeah, done.
See, this is how deals get made.
I will reserve the right though to throw some really edgy, dark curveballs in there.
Well, yeah, you don't want everybody to yawn. I mean, you gotta.
Well, I'm not saying their life is boring. I'm just saying that I bring something to the table.
You have to.
I have branding, and you know.
Oh, you got your own personal brand.
And if I'm going to go from guests to Nick Lovin, I've got to work to bridge that gap somehow. You know.
Yeah, because
if you could stack some bodies in your basement in the meantime, it would just help ease me into the whole thing.
Oh, and it's
get possessed.
Yeah, and it's totally cool if he does stack the bodies like cordwood. It's book research. That's what I understand. Yeah. He's researching.
It's also great feng shui.
Yes. Well, you have to get the right people though. You have to get the right bodies, but that's a whole other thing. So I appreciate you giving us this time. I don't want to steal any more of it. Now that, I mean, you can go about the country, right? You're not still locked into your house.
Well,
Unless
I got.
make you write more stuff, then stay there. But
I will tell you, in a good parting note. Yeah, so I got the second vaccination about 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I think. So yeah, I can go out now, and I went out one night, and it was sparsely populated bar. There was like 8 people, and they were all standing around, and it kind of reminded me of the way everyone was looking at each other. It kind of reminded me of the end of an Agatha Christie novel where they reveal the murderer. Yeah. It was like, and I was like, I wonder if you're all wondering why I gathered you here this evening. It was crazy, and nobody felt comfortable. And when I got home, I was like, I don't know if I enjoyed that or not. So
yeah, our distrust of each other is now just out in the open. So
I hate you.
Yeah, please stay over there. You know, like a good neighbor, stay over there. It's very, very much in line with how I've been living my life, driving people away. So
right.
It's sort
Are you
of
an
like,
Uber?
Huh?
You drive an Uber?
No, no, because no. I mean, I would drive an Uber if I could get like a small car and put the people in a trailer, like a whole different compartment with its own wheels and everything. That way, they'd be happier.
And your air freshener is just a foot.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
An amputated foot.
And you gotta, when somebody gets into your cab, you gotta start speaking in, ancient tongues.
Right, and you know what? I'll have a mask that faces back, so they think I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
All the time, just constantly looking at them.
And your dashboard is made entirely of ham.
Ham.
Mm.
Yeah, well, only in the summer when you could get that window to like cook the ham, and
there you go.
The windows down, and then it's like a carpet of flies.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
It's like they'll say, "Can you put music on?" And it's like, no, just listen to the flies. They're singing.
And maybe have an old priest in the passenger seat all the time who doesn't talk.
That's good. No, like they're there and they're just like throwing like little dashes of water around the whole time.
Yeah. And just kind of staring at the people in the back seat. You don't know what's coming, like.
I'll get the little panel between the passenger and drivers in the driver's section, have a little panel that they could slide back where the priest is there to take their confession.
The price of the app compels you.
Yes. Yeah. Just slide it over and say, what have you done? And then, by the time I drop them off, they're clean. Their soul is clean and they're redeemed. And Sinead O'Connor, we've been corrected. Sinead O'Connor is actually not Sinead O'Connor anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think she's Sinhead. No, she changed her name. She denounced Catholicism, I believe, and I don't want to get into her.
Sinhead got me finally.
Sinhead. Yeah, so for our honeymoon, I went to Ireland, so I've been there.
Yeah,
I went to the Galway Islands. I went to the Aran Islands off the coast of Galway and saw so much animal feces, like I've never seen before.
That's what it's known. That's what it's known for. Only the residents petitioned against calling it shit-ass island.
But they said in Gaelic, Aran means shit-ass island, or shit-ass. And so we're going to name our son Aaron because
it's a third world country.
There you go. I can't top that pun. There's no topping that pun.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. How did we even get here?
Exorcist Uber.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Exorcist Duber.
There you go.
Right.
Okay, so on that note, I will let you into the world to continue writing, to make another Sun Tup book or make any other goddamn book. I'm just thrilled. You don't have to get it published. So I got this. And this is, I had to show it. I mean, to get a series of books written based on the joke in the news, and to have Alan Baxter actually turn it into a really good read I was surprised. I bought it for the joke, but I stayed for the story, which was
well. And also, what we did that actually launched a bunch of people. I offered to design creature feature animal covers for anybody who would write the book to go with it. Yeah, that was the first. And all proceeds from the sales of it would go to animal welfare.
Yeah. No, this is. I haven't read these two yet. Plain Possum and Buck.
You gotta love it.
But this reminded me of the Sour Candy cover.
Yeah.
Orange red. But I'm dying to. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be as good as this. This was fantastic. And then this was beautiful and brilliant. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
This was really.
That was fun. Yeah. That was a fun one to do.
I mean, yeah. This is one of the things where I don't know really what happened. I don't know what happened, but I loved every minute of it. Nice, beautiful short read, and just beautifully done it came from Beyond Pulp. Just beautifully done. I love the artwork and everything. And then this I haven't read, The Hides, but apparently you won some sort of some acclaim for it.
Did I?
I don't know. That's what I thought I read on the Wikipedia page.
Well, stay away from that thing. It's evil.
There you go. And then of course this badass book. When I first discovered Cemetery Dance, I saw this, and I just kind of hemmed and hawed. I'm like, I don't know, who is this guy? The only people I know that have three names are like assassins, the guy who shot JFK and all that. So I don't know. I don't want to be fueling a career in crime, but then eventually I got it, and it's just awesome. So
as somebody said in the comments yesterday when they were discussing who was going to be the author today, somebody said, I think it's Kealan Patrick Burke. He's not the biggest name out there, but I was like, Kealan Patrick Burke. How much bigger does my name need to get? You've done using a bigger font. I'm gonna James Patterson or Wilbur Smith all my books from now on. It's just gonna be a giant K. I'll be like Prince, like you know who I am.
You are trying to take up as much real estate as possible, and that's a savvy marketing decision. So I think that that's a good move on your part. But yeah, not the biggest name. What do you got to add?
Kealan Patrick Burke. I should just put cauliflower, lettuce, and tomato after it, and just say that's it. Get bigger than that.
Yeah, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that sounds like a plan. So that's all I have. I don't know what else to do. I feel like I'm going to make everything worse if I keep going, which is,
And I will be complicit in that because I'm not discouraging you in any way, shape, or form.
No, I don't see any more questions. This was my first Burke. Diana said this was her first Burke. I mean, first Burke ever. I don't know if she's ever experienced a Burke.
James KPB Patterson. I like that.
Someone just showed up. Ashley, sorry I'm late.
So can I go in? When this is over, can I go in and address these comments?
You know what? I think you could. I think you could. Now you just put yourself on the hook for like 500 comments.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't mind.
Maybe weave it into a story. Each person gets a sentence of a new story, and then by the end,
that's putting me on the hook.
Yeah, well, that's what I was supposed to do. So I have like 5 names. Twan Van Gastel has 5 names, and I think I pronounced each one of them wrong. So somebody wants to know, having never read Mr. Burke, he just avoided the whole Kealan Patrick thing. I'm just getting out of that. What story should I read first? So what does the author recommend? You're like a sommelier, and a wine, so what would you recommend to pair with this?
That one.
Yeah.
Actually, how about without the watermark on it? It's better.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's not actually backwards in real life.
It didn't show up backwards. It didn't show up backwards.
Great.
No.
Well, why am I showing up backwards?
I don't know. You got some sort of mirror thing going on. Probably not an Apple product.
Well, in Ireland, we all face the opposite direction. So
yes,
we're like Australian toilets. We're the people of Australian toilets.
The people of Australian toilets. I think that's like in the national song, but in like.
It's actually the only quote I ever got from my granddad, Stephen King.
Yeah.
He's like the Australian toilet of people.
Yes, yes. Reading him is like sitting on an Australian toilet and watching that water go the wrong way. When I was in Ireland, I said, America's here. I put American flags on each side of the car, and I drove on the right side.
How'd that go?
It went very well. Because I noticed one thing you people like to do is go down.
You people? Who's this you people?
You people. You like to go down your very narrow streets. One side is a cliff, and the other side is a rock wall.
This is absolutely no exaggeration whatsoever, and I mean that. But you're absolutely right.
And the roads, there's never been a straight line in Ireland, and you guys go 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour around these blind curves where it's either you fall to your death or you crash into a gently placed, beautiful rock wall. I love those.
Oh yeah, they're nice to look at unless it's buried in your face.
Yeah, unless you like kiss the rock through the windshield.
Kiss the Blarney Stone with your face at 150 miles an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, we stayed in Ferns. I don't know if you know it. We landed in Dublin, drove down the Wicklow Mountains, ended up in Ferns, and we stayed at a B&B. And the next morning, me and my wife left there. And as we're driving away on the right side of the road, I looked at her. I said, "We were going to be killed last night." And she said, "Yes." We both had the same vision that somebody was going to kick the door in and hack us both to death. Just for fun. You know, we don't often say that to each other. But in Ferns, I think we died in a parallel universe.
Oh wow!
And the barrier between the universes was so thin that we had a glimpse into our hacked death.
Do you write books?
Not
Why
really. Not? I'll try. For you.
I want you to. It's your destiny.
I'll give it a shot.
That and getting hacked up in an alternate dimension, but we'll take one thing at a time.
Well, that was there, yeah. But I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a go. And but I doubt I'll be a Suntop book. Let me just put that there.
Hey, you sound like me about 6 months ago.
Were you hacked?
You sound like me this morning.
All right. Well, that is quite a hell of a compliment. I was personally thrilled that you were picked, and then over the moon when Paul said, "Hey, Goober, get KPB on the phone, talk about his book, sell them books, wear cutoff shorts if you have to, hustle it." He makes me wear cutoff shorts and high heels.
Well, at least you're wearing something down there.
Yeah, I heard about that clause in your contract. But
I just have a T-shirt and flippers. That's it.
So I appreciate you taking the time today. I think everybody did. And because you are going to go through and answer each one of these questions with your credit card information, your social security stuff, I won't read their questions. I'll just let you add it. And you're in the group, so people will pester you for remarks. Congratulations on the mad sale. Congratulations on getting more eyeballs on your work. It's awesome. It's just awesome all the way around. So I appreciate you taking the time today. And
I appreciate you having me. And absolute thanks to everybody on here as well. I really wanted to address all the comments and questions as they were coming in, but it was, we were too busy talking of really, really serious matters.
Well, I mean, I think we solved some things today. If we had a little time, we would just square away that Israeli-Palestine thing.
Right.
But I got to have coffee. So, and
I got to put pants on.
Okay. Well, you shut the camera off before you stand up. Otherwise, this whole thing's going to get taken down. And I will read your book. Love it, love it, love it. I'd love to have you back on when you do Kin 2, and we'll get you there. Or the prequel, Papa in Gray meets, Mom in Bed. And wow, just such a great. Get Kin, people. I don't know. Somebody asked for the Cemetery Dance edition. I'll sell it to you for $500. Actually,
eBay is probably your best bet for that, because I think Somebody on Instagram actually was asking a few weeks ago, so I pointed them to eBay, and they got a copy for I think like $50 or something.
No, it was like 500, because that's what I'm.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 500.
Yep. I think it was actually 1,000.
Yeah, it was. You're a saint for going half price. I mean,
I'm
wow.
generous. No, I wouldn't sell it. So that's the thing. That's the thing, because when the ninja visits you, that's going to be worth a lot more. So get eyes on the back of your head. Stay out of those Ubers unless there's a priest.
And I will be in the Suntop group. I just saw that Bianca. Yeah, I will. I'll hang around and see what's going on. Also, I'd like to see what people think when they read the book. Yeah. I think from an aesthetic perspective, nobody will have any reason to complain. From the writing perspective, I think it represents my best stuff to date. So I'm hoping everybody digs it.
Oh my God. Yeah. The mannequin challenge in this, if I could plug that, was just crazy. Loved that story.
There's actually comic, I don't know how you say it, John Carpenter's Tales from Halloween Night series of anthologies that are all Halloween stories. I adapted it for that, for the next one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I just saw the art for it. It's absolutely bonkers. So yeah, people are going to dig that. I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. So I hopefully a lot of people, these fans, go out, check out the back catalog, look forward to these stories, and enjoy. And I think they will. So, like I said, my biggest concern for this was that people would just be like, oh, I don't know this author.
Yeah.
But once they read it, once they dig it, I think they'll dig it. I think they'll like it. But art is subjective, man. I mean, there's some crazy people out there that don't like all the stuff I like, and they're wrong. But you just have to treat them kindly. Is what I'm told.
Right. Well, I get suspicious if people like everything I've written. I'm like, what do you want from me?
Yeah. Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And this thing is sounding like crazy. And I'm glad you'll stick around with us for at least a little bit. And, all the best to you, man. Thank you so much.
You too, Jeff. Take care. And thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.